Well, howdy there, folks. Long time no video. I've been a little MIA for the past few years. We'll talk more about that in a little while. But for now, I thought I would make a video on the state of, well, not on the state of the game, just see where vanilla is at these days. With the new detailers patch, about most of all of my visual mods are not quite working yet, so I thought I would make a new playset that is just vanilla and yeah, see what the state of the game is like in vanilla. So I thought I might make it kind of a series of all the vanilla maps, doing a vanilla start. So here we are with Archipelago Haven. Just trying to find a semi-suitable name. But these aren't going to be long cities at all. I'm just going to do a start until it becomes profitable. So thinking it might be a little bit of a series. Not sure yet. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, here it is. I don't think I've ever actually played on this map. So usually what I do to start off is have an overview of everything. And take a look at where the starting tile is, usually kind of in the middle, but also the resources. If I were to stay on this map, I would have that ore on the left there. I would make that my big quarry, but that's not in the starting tile. What we do have is some fertile land. So that is very important. Almost all starting tiles have fertile land, which is what you need to make money. You need to get your production chain in order, broken as it is still, but you can at least get your Sims some grain and some water and yeah, so we're just looking at where we want to put things like our residential area and our industry. So we're going to start off here with a farm for grain, because grain's probably one of the top things you need to feed your Sims. It makes, bread, and technically it feeds your cows, I think. I'm not sure if that's how it is in the game, but you do need grain, otherwise you are importing it, and that just, costs you money. So using the area tool of the grain farm to make a grain farm, and make sure it's connected to a road there. And we're keeping it paused until we get our initial layout done. So here I'm looking at setting up an industry area. I am pretending that this would be a nice little port. It's too bad we don't have smaller port options, but like a small barge or something for beginning industry areas, but it is what it is. So the terrain's pretty nasty around here. I'm just smoothing it out a little bit like you would in real life. It's always a big complaint I see. People are like, the terrain's so hard to deal with, and it's like, in real life you grade first. So yeah, just grading out and making a pad, kind of following along the contour lines there, because that's how you do in real life. And what is a simulation but simulating real life? And just making a few different roads here. These are all the new roundabouts we got in this detailers patch number 2. And then here I am using one of the new roads, a single lane one-way alley, to just make a little back road here. Guess I went with one way just to make it so it was less traffic going into the roundabout, and just to use a new road because we have it, so might as well use it. Didn't have a lot of room back here either, so putting an asymmetric road on here, using the upgrade tool to make it the lanes line up properly there. And what else? That's about it for the little industry area. So now we're going to move on over to our residential zone. And the first thing I always do is figure out water. I like to use the groundwater pumping station. I think it's a neat building. It's pretty realistic. It's a giant well, basically. I've never seen a real life example of pumping water straight out of the ocean, so I tend to shy away from that, but I'll use it from time to time, the normal pumping station. And anyway, didn't place that yet. What I am placing are some of the new roads. This new parking lot road that I think it makes a great little main street. And just kind of using both that and the contour lines is what I'm looking at while I zoom out here to make my initial road frame, to make my grid and my historic part of the city, if you will, my initial founding town. So again, just following along the bottom of the contour lines there, and along the top of this little hill here, and we will go straight on over and make a little intersection. And so this little, I don't know, pie-shaped triangle corner of the square is gonna be my main little town. So I'm just extending these roads out to where you could extend them further in the future, and then coming down and filling out the center of this little area. That middle road is off on purpose. It's not to bother you. It's just to be at a perfect 45 from those two roads that join at the roundabout back there. And the rest of this, I'm just filling in my main, what will be my residential streets. I don't like to go the full 6 units deep for my first residential zonings. I think, you can just get more people into more smaller houses. So I always start with small houses. I live in the American West, so a lot of houses are smaller in the historic city centers. And yeah, so I don't do the full 6 deep zoning. And then over here, I am going to just I'm making this road frame. I wasn't sure at the time what I was going to do with it. I wasn't sure if I would need more industrial, whatever the demand would need, or if I'd need more residential. So I just threw this road frame over here and kind of putz around with the roads, make a 90-degree off of that main one coming in to make this little grid fit a little better. But I wasn't sure what I was putting over here initially because but it's the way the wind blows off to the left if I needed more industry than initially, but I didn't want to because the water was right there. And then for power, I was just looking for the ideal spot that wind turbines would get 5 megawatts each. So just connecting those with a little underground power. Hate it when maps don't come with a good windy area because the turbines really are the most economical option. You can't always just connect your substation to the outside and import the power, but my preference is to export my extra power because, makes me money. So that's why I put that in with my wind turbines. And then here we've got our sewage pipe, and I don't really like using these. Usually I play modded and I go for the water treatment plant because that's how it is in real life. You don't just dump your poo into the ocean in most first world countries, but is what it is in vanilla. So yeah, over here I am deciding to make a what would you call it? Just a back road, a ground level road, a flat. What do they call it? Whatever. A road connecting my initial road frames with my industrial area, that you don't have to go over the service interchange with the freeway to access it, so that people can walk to work. I'm just trying to smooth out the road here, and I was trying to use the slope terrain tool, and it wasn't as sloped as I thought, so I ended up just kind of smoothing it all out and just drawing the road anyway. Don't think I really even corrected anything, but whatever. Anyway, it's just a way for commuters to get back and forth. It's not intended for trucks to go over, even though they likely will, because the game does what it wants. But I always try to keep realism in mind, even though that's usually not how my cities turn out. But we're just going for a good start, a good city start that becomes profitable by the end of the episode, which is about milestone 5 or 6. Usually by the time I turn a decent profit that's gonna stay profitable, as long as you don't go absolutely bleeding money. Just using the replace road tool here to scooch my road over so that those driving lanes are lined up with the intersection over there, because I hate how the 1 unit wide road doesn't automatically center. I mean, it does if you take off a line to cell grid, but I never remember to do that. So anyway, here we are, beginning road frame, all its glory. So gonna hit play and see what demand bars come in, which it's always going to be residential number 1, because a city isn't a city without people. So I'm going to start zoning in some just European low density. Like I said, I don't like to do 6 unit deep, so I am doing my 3 unit deep zonings there, and I'm going to use the marquee tool here to make sure they only come in 3 units deep, because A, you get more people into smaller houses, and B, you get if you go bigger than 3 units deep for those European zonings, they are kind of ugly. Okay, maybe they're not ugly, but it's not my style. Here I'm switching back and forth between commercial, American, and European, so that we get some variety. And then over here in my little industry zone, I'm gonna zoom in and look at the contour line so I don't cut into the hill too much on the backside here, and just do some smaller zonings and then some bigger ones on the flat part out in front. Get us some jobs going so our population can be growing. Oh goodness, I'm having a couch day today, so I'm a little out of it because I'm very tired from some overactivities yesterday, being too overactive yesterday. So anyway, I started to zone in some commercial along my little main street here because I love this road, and then I realized that as I put in these little alleys here, I'm trying to conform to the grid, but if you'll notice on those big commercial buildings on the left there, they have driveway cutouts. They have, generally, the deeper the zoning grid for a commercial, you have a little parking lot in front of them. So milestone, quick aside here for the milestone, we get vegetable farms, and most importantly, we get service budgets. We can start not spending as much money. Anyway, and then I'm going to unlock our advanced road services so we can turn off stoplights where we need to and take out crosswalks, and we only have 1 development point, so that's what I always unlock first. I think most people do. But anyway, driveway cutouts. See these, the big commercials on the bottom left there. They are spawning in with their own parking lots, which you don't need when you have parking on the street. So I was trying to zone them down, but you see when they spawn in, there's still a few driveway cutouts there. So at this point I was thinking I'll just wait for my mixed use zoning and use that along the front. Um, yeah, we're just reorienting, putting more commercial along the back main street, the back, whatever. There's usually at least 2 streets of commercial in a small town. Running through lowering all my service budgets real quick and making sure that I'm not completely nuking my power in the process. So, also with that milestone, we got healthcare and garbage unlocked. So gotta add healthcare first, at least. You can wait until there's little, red bubbles saying I need an ambulance, but this is the new medical clinic that came with this update. Very nice. But I don't like to leave medical till it needs it. I like to have them right off the bat. I also don't like to put the budget down very far. I keep it around 80% at first instead of whacking it down to 50, because if your medical system fails, your whole city fails. Yeah. Anyway, we also got a medium density, or the beginning, the row homes for medium density in that last milestone. So I'm just throwing in some row homes behind the commercial there as a bit of a transition to my low density area. Not the most realistic for a small town, gonna be honest, at least not where I'm from in the West. This is more like it, keeping some row homes maybe, or little higher density homes in the city center, but not so much where the suburbs start. So it's it's a balance between doing the what the game wants and what's realistic. Anyway, just adding an alley back here to double up on these row homes, because some of them didn't want to spawn in that long. They wanted some smaller ones for just how the demand is sometimes. And then I'm looking at my unemployment. You'll see me do that a lot. It's at like 25, but I don't have any commercial demand. I have a lot of the other demand. I'm putting in more residential to satiate that, but especially in the beginning, if you can keep your unemployment under like 30, don't mind my delete fest over here. I'm just trying to make it face the main road on the front, and it's not wanting to. Anyway, I look at the unemployment. You should look at the unemployment, because that's really going to tell you what you need as far as residential versus industry versus commercial. But when the city's just starting, if it doesn't get above 30, I'm okay. When the city's bigger, if it gets above like 5, I like to try to balance it. But right at the beginning, you're really just trying to get people to move in. And then here with the industry, I am making the jobs to cut down on that unemployment. And you'll see I'm doing a lot of 2 wide zones there, because those tend to spawn in like smaller warehouses that don't have a bunch of smokestacks on them. I do that sometimes, not all the time, but just to there's the unemployment rate plummeting because I just gave everybody a bunch of jobs. But yeah, the industrial smokestacks are more prevalent in the larger buildings, so I tend to make a lot of smaller ones. Using the walkways here to control my zoning, that is something that, in a detailing kit, patch, whatever we just got, you would have hoped the zoning would have been controllable, but because it's that, to me, that's a detail. But oh well. Just filling in the rest of my residential back here. Usually once they start building, you can delete your pathways and have it have your zoning blocks stay how you made them, but sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes when you build a road, 5 blocks away, it also messes up your zoning. So it's just, unfortunately, that's still a thing with vanilla. But, you know, it is what it is. And it's a lot better than it was, you know, this time last year. Looking at my unemployment, getting back up to about 10% there. So I'm thinking about how I want more jobs, but it's just not going. And the beginning of the game, you're always balancing your budget here. See, I'm dropping healthcare to 80%. I really hate to drop healthcare, because if you start, like, if you only have 2 out of 5 ambulances going out, you can kill your city pretty quickly. That one's saying not enough employees, and I'm just wondering why, because I have unemployment. So anyway, I decided to go back to what I said at the very beginning, which is putting in your industry resources is really what helps you in the beginning of the game. That is how you make a profitable vanilla city, is by getting your resource chain under control right at the beginning. If, you know, back up, rewind a second. You can argue that the resource chain is broken in CS2, and I agree, but for the beginning of the game, and that's what this video is about, is just getting a profitable vanilla start, is to actually get control of your resource chain from the beginning. Do you understand what I'm saying? I feel like I'm bungling it up, but whatever. It's how you make money, because you'll have exports. You won't see the actual trucks exporting the stuff, but that is how the background simulation of the economy is working, what you're buying in versus what you're producing on your own. And right here, I'm noticing some hearse notifications. I need a cemetery, and I'm just realizing that I didn't do the region packs when I did the vanilla playset. So I am just reloading and adding those in. And here's some of the signature buildings from the packs. So yeah, I have the UK parish church there, which is the cheapest cemetery option. That's what I generally like to use at the start of these cities. Ever since it came out, 3 weeks ago or whatever it was, it is just a classic little, like, this isn't only a UK thing. Like, small cemeteries are a thing in every town I've been in America, especially small towns or historic towns. You're always going to have little cemeteries dotted around. So to me, that's the most realistic thing to put down. And just check in. The beginning of a city is always checking constantly on your service budgets, and versus how much of the service you have, and forgetting to raise your taxes, which I just did. You never want to raise them above about 12%. And for commercial, I don't raise it at all, because it's obviously, I don't have any demand for it, so I'm not trying to make it any harder for a commercial to come into my town. Here I'm trying to just get rid of those walkways, but of course it's gonna mess up all my zoning, so I have to put some of them back, and it's just like I said, it is what it is. But anyway, that's kind of the point of this series, is to see what vanilla is like these days. So yeah, I usually play modded, not heavily. I've recently got into plopping most buildings, but I zone a lot still, and I try to go with how the game wants to work, but I also like to use Move It and use Anarchy to make key walls and stuff, so I don't have to do all this jerry-rigging with the pathways to make the zoning work. Or I just plot buildings, so I just ignoring the zoning entirely. But like I said, I wanted to see what vanilla was like, because I used to play Cities Skylines 1 like it was my lifeblood. And the one good thing about Cities Skylines 2 is that when a mod doesn't work anymore, it lets you know, which is great, because in CS1 it was, side note, these new roads are awesome. I'm putting in one of the new parking lot roads here to make a little townhome community, like little development. Awesome addition. Love these roads. I won't say road builder isn't completely needed, but this is a fantastic addition. Anyway, back to what was I saying? CS1 modding was, a behemoth in itself, but if a mod was broken, the game didn't tell you. The game just didn't work, or parts of it didn't work, or it would freeze and shut down, and that is not the one good thing, that is one of the good things with Paradox mods, is that it'll tell you before you even start the game. It'll say, hey, this isn't working, so it's not activated. You can still play, this just isn't going to be available until the author of the mod fixes it, which is great. And there's plenty of things that are wrong, like the zoning or whatever, with the game still, but there's plenty of good things too. There's plenty of improvements, and I don't play Cities Skylines 1 anymore. I only play CS2. Granted, I mostly play modded, but I'm not a heavy modder. I don't place every single little decoration or something. If I have a blank wall, I'll put some graffiti on it, but I don't do dirty street decals and stuff like that. It's too much work. Here's some of our new cul-de-sacs. I'm making some little eyebrows for the corners of this little neighborhood over here, because I've decided to use it for just some more residential. I use the vanilla European zoning over in the main part of the town, and over here I'm going to use the UK semi-detached. So they look, I thought I was going to mix in some of the UK fully detached houses, the single family homes, but so I decided to go with the semi-detached for the part that's closer to the kind of main road. And I thought on this back very end cul-de-sac I would put some single family homes, which I don't remember if I end up doing, but anyway, semi-detached housing, love it. It's these region packs, they're all just beautiful in terms of the assets they added. I don't personally get much use out of the French pack, or the German I use quite a bit of the mixed use, but unless I want a very specific looking thing, I don't really use the French assets much. Here we go, milestone 2, getting a few more services. Schools, there's the big one really, and I unlocked parking with my little points there, so I could put a little parking lot over here in the industrial area. I always take off the parking fee though, for realism. I think later on I actually go put it back, because honestly the Sims don't care. They're supposed to care, but they don't. So it's just a way for you to make money. Here I'm looking at the schools, and really I'd probably later on I would have a school for every neighborhood, just about an elementary school. But for the small population, like I'd put one on the left and one on the right, eventually, probably, once we densify a little more. But for now, we're just going to do one elementary school right on this little corner, because it's kind of a main intersection back here, but it's not right on the main road. I always find that elementary schools in real life, they're back in the main part of a neighborhood. They're not right in the center of town per se, but they're within the center of where the residents are. So, yeah, just putting the this is from the UK pack, this elementary school, and it is beautiful, and I think it fits. I mean, it is very English, but it fits well enough. It looks like an older institution. To me in the U.S., it kind of looks like an old insane asylum, but it looks like a historic building is what I'm going for here. And a quick little detour to fix some zoning because it's being crazy. But anyway, back to the school. From Detailer Patch 1, you were able to fix the zoning surfaces. So just extending some textures here to make this fit in with the gap in the road. And now it's just kind of general cleanup. And I just remembered that, the signature buildings are available. So I decided to put a little pub over here. This is the Church Inn thing. Church Inn and Pub from the UK pack. But don't sleep on your signature buildings because when they unlock, they're free to put down and they give you benefits. They give your citizens well-being. They lower import costs. They do all different things. And so if you have them, put them down. Because they do help with your economy, especially early on. And just here, I'm putting down another farm. I was just noticing my production chain. I was importing a lot of vegetables, so I am putting down a veg farm, and I think I put an animal farm, livestock as well. Just to, again, catch up on the production chain, because that is another thing that really is helps your early economy, like I've said before, is your production chains. I always make the surface not quite go to the road. It likes to snap to the road, but I like to leave room for trees later, because driving through the American Midwest, you always see tree lines as windbreaks for farms, so I always like to leave room for trees. And then there I'm just putting in a livestock farm. You don't need fertile land for that, so just to get some good old chickens in for the Sims to eat. And now my productions are doing pretty good. Another important one though is stone, so I'm just looking over here in the industrial area to see where I can put a rock mine. You don't need any specific resource on the ground for this. You can mine stone from anywhere, kind of like the livestock farms. You can put it wherever you want to. So I do like to use them in my industrial areas, or in between like highway interchanges and stuff. One of my favorite examples is in the middle of Boston is a huge interchange between two freeways, and there's just a stone mine right in the middle of it, a big aggregate mine. And where I don't know if it's a mine, but it's where they keep all the rocks to do all their road construction and stuff, and it's just right in the middle of Boston at the intersection of two historic highways. So yeah, be creative with where you put your stone mines, because your cities need concrete to function. Your buildings use them for upkeep, use concrete for upkeep. So yeah, put them everywhere. Put small ones everywhere. Don't just do like one big one, because later on in the game, having a certain number of extraction buildings is what unlocks those signature buildings as well. So yeah, put lots of little mines and things around, even when you're doing like ore oil, OREOR oil. Just do lots of small ones. Don't just do one big one, because the number of extraction buildings is what you need versus how much they pull out. Here I was thinking about, or I did unlock the recycling center because I thought I would go with that. You'll notice I don't have any trash pickup in the city yet, because no one's asking for it. You can go quite a while without garbage service in your city. You need to use it though. You need to have it down and functioning before your main service buildings need it. So, side note here, new parking lots, beyond awesome. So just putting down a couple of those in my little downtown for these townhomes that don't have parking right next to them. But anyway, getting some medium density, proper, larger buildings in now. And I really love the new Japanese ones, the medium density, because they're lower. They're max height. They're like 6 stories, which is normal. And we'll see some in a little bit. But here I'm just checking on my production chains, making sure I don't need more of anything else. And what happened to the lighting, I don't know. Anyway. Finally getting some commercial demand back in, so adding some along my front street, again trying to keep them smaller so they don't generate parking lots. I'm throwing in some Japanese. I switch back and forth when I zone between whatever zoning type I have available, American, European, Japanese, just to keep the variety of the buildings up, and checking on my unemployment. I do that every 5 or 10 minutes just to see where it's at. And again, when you have a big city, you don't want that to be over like 5%, or things kind of start collapsing. But when it's a small town, you can go up to about 10% before you need to think about other things. The last thing I really want to get in before the end of the episode is high school, because elementary and high school are kind of the 2 main things you need for your city to grow. You also need college a little bit further down the line. You will eventually get businesses saying they need well-educated workers, at which point you need a college. But to get minor education and highly educated or something, to get different levels of workers, you need elementary and high school to start off with. So I wanted to get that in here. I wanted to leave room behind for the big football field, and I tried to add it on and realized I don't have parks unlocked, so didn't get to put that in. But I wanted that backing up to those farm fields because I just thought that would be a cool aesthetic. And yeah, pretty much just trying to fill things in. I'm always keeping an eye on the budget over there. And what I really just need is more residents. We're not even at 1,000 population yet. And I'm just like moving right along zoning things. I threw in some little of the new UK terraced housing there along that main street. And I'm just going to put some more, I think, semi-detached, those duplexes in the back here. And try to fix zoning, but it hates me. So anyway, yeah, at this point it just becomes a zoning game of filling in, getting that tax revenue. And I think I zoned the wrong thing. I did the terrace housing instead of the semi-detached. So just switching that out real quick. And yeah, getting your tax revenue in it's the beginning of the game is always just such a balancing act of your service budgets and getting your citizens in right there. I tried to zone in some medium density from the UK pack. Unfortunately, that's bugged, which I'd read about, but I didn't notice until I just tried to do it. I'd heard about it, and I was like, it works for me, but I didn't realize I was always plopping the buildings, and they're beautiful, so it's really upsetting that they're not zonable, because those like I was saying for the Japanese assets, the UK medium density are wonderful assets. They aren't as tall as these here. Those are the level 1 European vanilla zonings, and they're too tall. Like, they should only be like 3 or 4 stories, and they're like 6 to start off with. So whatever. Again, is what it is. And I'm just gonna go through and adjust my taxes and my budgets, and I realized my education budget was like way up high, which when you seriously only have like 1,000 people in your town, you do not need a high education budget. That's something you can put up 5 or 10% at a time over the course of several milestones. So that put me into the green, and here I'm just appreciating these little assets from the UK pack. I think those are standard. Maybe European zoning. Trying to densify a little bit and just really rounding things out, trying to make this kind of a proper whole little town before I reach the end of my goal here, which I've kind of already done, which is finish or get to a point where we're profitable. But I want to make it at least one more milestone, because milestone 4, I believe, is where you unlock offices, and that's kind of an important part for the city. And I also haven't put down fire or police yet, because you really don't need it to start off with. And here I'm just moving the petrol station over by a unit so I can fit in the German firehouse. I think this is the cutest thing. And that looks like, I mean, it is very German, but it looks like something that can fit in an old West town as well. You would have an old fire tower like that. Police station, I always just go with that small one now these days, since it came out was it in the first detailers patch? Whatever. Because you really don't need that many police officers. Also there, just noticed we unlocked transportation in the next milestone, so I was thinking I was going to put down a bus line, because that's something that really helps demand. But I don't think I get around to it. But here, I'm putting trees on the streets. I'm putting birch trees on my streets because I can. And it's just, I just remembered that you could do this now. That's one of the new things, is putting the tree of your choice on streets with this detailers patch number 2, and it is just such a quality of life thing. I mean, you could put them on before just what was, I don't even know what the standard one was, maybe a chestnut, but being able to put, the birch or whatever tree matches your thing is just so great. So here we got milestone 4, parks, our big one. Transportation, I thought I was going to put down a bus depot, but I don't think I did. But just for the future growth of your city, that is a really big thing. So I was looking over here to see where I could put a bus depot, and then I decided I really needed to put garbage down sometime soon, because I think my water was screaming for it. My water pumping station was like, hey, I've got garbage, and you can't ignore it after that point. You've got to you have to bow to your your main services when they start saying they've got trash piling up. You really need to get garbage service down, because the whole city will just collapse if their efficiency will just go down and down and down of like your water or your electric stations or whatever, if they don't get their garbage picked up. So here I'm just putting a little landfill off to the side. I always start with like the smallest landfill possible, because I don't like the landfill. Again, when I play modded, I usually just go straight to the recycling center, even if I'm like battling my budget forever because of it. But I don't like the landfill. At least it's not like CS1 where you can't delete it until it's empty. You can, but it just it's just ugly. But even over here, I always like to try to cut into a hill when you put a landfill in, because then afterward you can like smooth the hill out again, and that's kind of how it works in real life. You when a landfill is full, you put the land back over it, and usually it turns into some sort of green space or just goes back to being nature. So yeah, I would try to cut into a hill for my landfills like that. And then we're just going to stick in some offices in any of these spots where commercial doesn't want to grow yet because the demand's just not there for it. But offices are the next big step for growing your population, and they attract higher, more highly educated workers. Here I'm putting down one of the new parks. Oh, these new parks, they're 1 unit wide. I love these. They're so good. So good. Just all those little awkward spaces that you're like, I could put another row home in there, but I really don't want to. Even though I think I just put a path here. I didn't want to park there because there's one right down the street. But anyway, so the new little parks that just fill in space is wonderful. But yeah, offices, they attract more highly educated workers to your city, even if you don't have a college yet. Though eventually you do need, your offices will, as they level up, will need more highly educated workers. So then you do have to put your, college and university and all that in. But they attract them from outside while you're still getting, your major population growth. They'll bring in highly educated workers who are, I think, often like married and have children and that kind of stuff. So, anyway, and then it just trying to get the oh, look at these buildings. I think those are the Japanese apartments. Those are beautiful. Again, just with this milestone 4, you get low income housing, which is the high demand, high residential demand. So I'm putting in some low income housing there. I really like to use the French stuff. I think everyone does who has it. It's shorter, like I was saying. When you first build a mid-rise building in a small town, it's not going to be 20 stories like the vanilla low residential stuff, low income stuff. It's going to be how these are, 4 and 5 stories. In America, at least, it's very common to have what's called 5/1, which is really kind of like mixed use, but sometimes it's parking or whatever on the first level, the ground level, and then there's 5 stories above it, and that's just because of American zoning laws. You have to have or in a certain the first level of higher density, you can only have up to 6 stories on a building. So I would love to see, hopefully in the American pack, some just 5 and 6 story tall apartment buildings. Same for the hotels. It seems like we're finally getting these hotels that spawn in these days, and they have like a motel and then they have a hotel, and the motel is what you'd see on the side of the road in the sticks of America. It's just a little motor lodge type thing that has rooms that you access from the outside, and then you have high-rise hotels, which are giant behemoth things you only want in your downtown, and there's no in between. When pretty much all over America, at least, there are, like the Holiday Inns or the Super 8s or La Quinta or whatever, and they're more in the middle. They're more like the size of these mid-density buildings, the vanilla mid-density buildings, where they are like 10, 12 stories, but they're not what I would call a high-rise. They're just a big hotel. So yeah, I think there's some. Oh, here we go with what is this? My water budget is too low. Yeah. So very important to zoom out. Try to remind yourself to zoom out from time to time so you see those kinds of things. But yeah, I just was zoning in those medium densities, and when I noticed that water budget needed turning up, and then I'm checking all my other budgets here to make sure they're all in line and turning them up incrementally. But I am making a profit. My city has stabilized. I'm at milestone 4. And yeah, I mean, I could keep growing. I could fill out the rest of the map or the rest of these tiles and buy new tiles and keep going. But everything seems to have stabilized. So I think I've accomplished what I set out to accomplish. I really like this map, this Archipelago Haven. I really like these new roads we got. I'm loving the new region packs. They have added much needed diversity to the asset pool, and just love that with each patch they're also giving us new service assets and stuff, to again diversify your city. So yeah, here it is. Here's my little finishing start of the city. I'm not really going to take it any farther than this. We'll just have a little look at the overview. And I want to thank you if you've watched this whole thing. I haven't posted in so long, and I hope to post more. So if you like this, I would love to do a little series on vanilla starts for all of the maps. And yeah, while I've got time, I'm kind of light on work at my real job right now. So if you want to throw me a coffee or something, there's a link for that. And if you want to see more of these videos, let me know in the comments. And I hope to continue. So see ya on the next one.